Hello, welcome to season 6, episode 16, York Part 2. Have you figured out that I kind of fell in love with York? Who knew? And some of the things that I fell in love with were their charity shops. We call them opportunity shops here in Australia. And here's another little wonderful piece that I picked up for about £3, I think this one cost me. So I am really happy to share with you my wonderful images of York Part 2, because the interesting thing is York is such a central location. You can go to wonderful places all around and come back to beautiful York as your center point. Let's have a look at this wonderful place called York and all of the areas that you can access. Let's go. Welcome to season 6, episode 16, York 2, which is all about the adventures, the little day trips that I went on using York as my absolute base. And let's have a look at the first one. From York, my beautiful hosts took me all the way from here. I mean, luckily it was only 1 hour and 6 minutes up to Whitby. But here they are. These are my hosts from York. And here they are with their gorgeous black lab called Jonah. And we went to the beautiful town of Whitby. How picturesque is this? Right there on the mouth of the Esk River, reminiscence of Brighton, the Brighton um, um, beach houses. I'll get it right in a minute, that we have in Melbourne back here in Australia. Whitby is indeed picturesque, which is probably why many movies have actually been filmed there. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in 2001, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets in 2002, and others like Victoria and like Dracula. And the thing about Whitby is that they always embrace its association with Gothic culture. The fact that Dracula was filmed there certainly might have something to do with it. Here we have the Magpie Cafe. This cafe has been in 3 generations of the same family and boasts the best ever fish and chips plus other seafood. Is very popular, as you can see from this queue, and this is just the first part of the queue. Whitby was a beautiful day excursion. I was very grateful to my hosts for taking the time out to show me Whitby. Now, just down from Whitby is another rather special place. So I jumped on a coach and yes, I went to Scarborough. And here we have Scarborough. Scarborough was Britain's first seaside resort and reigned over by a 12th century castle. Again, picturesque, beautiful, and frightfully British. And although this scene probably isn't that different to what you'd find on an Australian beach, walking around this headland was just glorious. I enjoyed Scarborough. Do you remember the song Scarborough Fair? Scarborough Fair was a real thing, a 6-week trading festival that attracted merchants from all over Europe. And this went on for 500 years, from the 13th to the 18th century. So where else did I go from York? Why was York so good? Well, I jumped on a train and I decided to go to Harrogate. But before I went there, I should say not before, but actually on the journey, I went through Knaresborough. And this is an image taken from the train as it's speeding along. But how gorgeous is this? The inevitable quaintness and the inevitable ancient ruin up on the hilltop. Went along and finally arrived in Harrogate. What a gorgeous, gorgeous village. So pretty, or town. Harrogate is a spa town and very beautiful. The mineral waters in this spa town contain iron, sulfur, and common salt. In 2017, metal detectors found the Harrogate hoard, though a 10th century Viking treasure of 700 coins and items from as far away as Afghanistan. The British Museum came out and said it was the most important find of its type in Britain for 150 years. There are other important finds in Harrogate, and Harrogate is where the very first Betty's Cafe tea rooms started. It's a typical Yorkshire institution, I guess you could call it. Celebrated 100 years last year. And Betty's Cafe tea rooms, if ever you're in Yorkshire, you really do have to treat yourself to one of these incredible afternoon teas. And here we have the queue, which not only was there, but was right around the corner as well, which is actually the reason why, even though I was in Yorkshire for 2 whole months, I never got to go into a Betty's Cafe tea rooms. But don't you miss out on that treat. See how pretty Harrogate is. Flowers everywhere, everything so neat and tidy. Just adorable, picture perfect. Well, picture perfect would have to include a British pub, and you probably couldn't go far wrong by using this one as a pretty good standard. Now, in the bottom right hand corner is a lovely young man, a fellow volunteer that I met when I was in Albania. And I met him again. We caught up after our Albanian stint, and we met in Harrogate, and he took me to this pub and very kindly treated me to Sunday lunch. Now, I bet that they're the biggest Yorkshire pies that you've ever seen. Am I right or am I right? Whilst I was in Harrogate, so much to see, beautiful parks, it was just amazing. This is an exhibition in the Royal Pump Room, a wedding dress exhibition, and I just want to show you this one. There's heaps of them there, but this one is, I really don't need to say anything about it, do I? Look how splendidly beautiful, extravagant, and decadent it is. Now, next to that, I also discovered this beautiful shop with these amazing dresses, and sadly, no room in my backpack, and certainly didn't fit in my travelling Europe on an Australian age pension budget. But look at them. They're my kind of dresses. Do you like them too? I'm including this image of this park bench next to those beautiful rambling roses from Harrogate because it's just so peaceful. Isn't Harrogate a beautiful place? The next big event. Now, this wasn't quite that easy. As you can see, it took me well over 2 hours to train it from Harrogate down to London. But I chose to do it, and I did it on the 16th of August in 2019. Why did I do it? Because that day was my 69th birthday. And I figured, well, I'm here, I'm in the UK, and who gets to spend a birthday in London? Also, being an Aussie and spending most of my birthdays in Australia, not all, but most, I often, well, very rarely had good weather because it's winter in Australia then. And so I thought, yes, my birthday in summer. It's August, bound to be a beautiful day. And it wasn't. So I was in the UK for 3 months, and I have to say that the 16th of August was the worst day of that entire 3 months. We had rain and hail and sleet, and we had to have the umbrellas out, and it was freezing cold. And I was surprised that it actually didn't start to snow. If you really look at the people standing in front of the Buckingham Palace gates there, they've all got their umbrellas up because you needed it. And here we are, Buckingham Palace and the guard there. I could not go past taking a photo of Queen Victoria. I'd like to think I had a happier face than that, though. Mind you, I certainly don't have the responsibilities that she had. I did all the usual things that one has to do when one is in London. I went here, saw the horses. This is as close as you're ever going to get to number 10 Downing Street. And I walked through St James Park, and I was rather taken by this duck island cottage. How gorgeous is that? And yes, you have to go to Trafalgar Square. How could you not? Freezing cold, raining, but I still enjoyed it. I went to London when I was 18 years old, and so here we are over 5 decades later. Quite a surreal experience. And taken by this incredible statue. This is called the Lamassu. And the Lamassu is a winged deity that guarded Nergal Gate, the entrance to the ancient Assyrian city of Nineveh, near modern day Mosul in Iraq. And it stood there from 700 BC until 2015. Whoa, that's a long time, right? Sadly destroyed by ISIS in 2015. It's made of Iraqi date syrup cans, representative of a once renowned industry decimated by the Iraqi wars, sadly. Back to York and talking about Vikings, because of course everywhere I went in Yorkshire there was constant talk about Vikings and what they did and the ruins. And right here in York, if you do visit York at any time, you must go to the ancient Viking ruins in Jorvik. Now, I could spend the next hour showing you all of the beautiful images that I took of the skeletons, of the jewelry, of the beautiful crosses, and so many things. I'm choosing to show you just a few images from this rather unique experience. So you go underground in Jorvik. It's right there in the centre, and you'll see through a glass bottom all of the ruins that are there that they've excavated. So you're walking on them, but on glass. And then you go into this kind of, it's an indoor little train thing that you sit in. You have headphones, and it's in your language. Luckily, they had them in English, not Yorkshire. I probably wouldn't have understood it if it was in Yorkshire. All that accent. Anyway, and then you just go round and they give you these little glimpses of what life they're supposing would have been like all those years ago in ancient times when the Vikings were there. And so and these little figurines, they moved, you'd hear talking as and music, and it was almost, you were just totally immersed in what they believe the actual scenes would have been like in those days. And they're really, really engaging. You want to go around again. As always, the time came when I had to say goodbye, York. And what better person to say goodbye, York, with than an Aussie from Melbourne who was there visiting her family. We managed to catch up at one of those old English pubs and we toasted each other and our Australian bond and our friendship with, of course, the drink of choice, a gin and tonic. Thank you, Sandy. What a great day we had. Goodbye, York.
Don't you love these sound effects? They're so cool. I hope that you enjoyed part two of York. I had an amazing time there. And no, I'm not teasing you. The world is opening up. My intention is to show you other parts of the world through my eyes, and you will go there and make your own adventure if you choose to. I want to show you parts that possibly other people don't see. Who knows? But I hope basically that you had a really good time watching that. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to the replay viewers today, broadcasting live from Ashgrove, Queensland, Australia. My next episode will be from another part of the UK. But before we go any further, of course, we have to talk about heart. First of all, I heart you. Yes, the world needs more heart. And every single episode that I do, I have a heart key for you. So this is what it's called. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Jen. Thank you so much. And you were at Trafalgar Square when you were 25. Wow. Wonderful to have the memories. See, this is the thing. I would rather spend money on experiences, because possessions, you end up getting really used to them. And sure, I know it's nice to have a brand new kitchen, but trust me, I would much rather spend that, just make do with the kitchen I have. Surely it does the job. And travel, see the world, see other cultures, understand global citizens. And to that end, let's now go to my heart key. It happens with every single episode. And here it is. It's just two words: behavioral flexibility. Yes, some of you do know that I am an NLP master trainer. I often don't talk about that because NLP has developed such a bad reputation. I think it's an amazing way to have a look at how you think, the patterns of your thinking, the patterns of your speech, and the how you're programmed, your body language, and so on. It's all about patterning. And yes, we notice how things happen to us, and we have a choice. We can go through life and go pointing the finger of blame out at others and blame them and say, oh, you did me wrong. Why did you do that to me? What if we stop to think, yes, even now, especially more now, because aren't the layers of the onion being peeled off you, your friends, your family? Perhaps you're seeing who they really are, or yourself, who you really are for the first time in a long time. So, having a look at what's happening in your life. And have you ever asked yourself the question, perhaps it's me? You're the common factor in everything that's happening in your life. Is that not true? It's true. Trust me. That was a rhetorical question. So, behavioral flexibility, what does that mean? What it does mean is that have a look at your behavior. And is your behavior working for you? Now, I'm not talking about manipulation or anything like that, although that's something that we do all the time. Come on, guys, let's be honest. We plan how we're going to approach a certain goal and how we're going to talk to people. So we're manipulating situations and people all the time. But somehow, when we target it under NLP, and call it behavioral flexibility, it's seen as a bad thing. It's part of being human, which is recognizing how are you behaving? Is the way that you are responding to what happens, is that serving you? A personal story here. I well remember my mother, who is no longer on this mortal plane, saying to me more than once, as mums often do, and it was about the way people were responding to her when she reacted to certain situations. And this is what my mother used to say: well, if they don't like it, they can lump it. The sad thing is that nearly everyone, if not everyone, lumped it, meaning they weren't going to put up with that shit because there's no other way, there's nothing else to call it. So they did not then include my mother in their circle of people that were important to them. And that caused my mother a lot of grief. And she died a pretty lonely old woman. So have a look at what you're doing. Are you are powerful. You have so many skills and so many opportunities. Open your eyes to see them, how you can develop a way to get a better result for yourself. And that better result might just be that you, although you can't change other people's behaviors, you don't contribute to them and their bad reaction to what happens. Have a look at what you're doing. If you're a leader, and we're all leaders, we're all leading our own life, what is it that you are doing that is contributing to the situation that comes under many names, but one of the names is contributing to the drama, to the shitstorm? Could you change that if you don't like the result, the outcome? You have every capability to do it. You're not set in stone. But you cannot change something that you don't notice. So notice what you are doing. I guess this ties in to the to my presentation from last week, which was all about pay attention. And the first thing you have to pay attention to is you. And then when you're paying attention to you, have a look at your lack of behavioral flexibility. Do you continue to fall back into the old behavioral patterns that don't serve you? Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. Did you love York and all of those areas around there too? Let me know. Go and check out my YouTube channel. Just search Victoria Rose Solo Travel, and there I am with another gorgeous Victoria Rose, who's gorgeous in a very different way. But I think you'll be able to pick out which Victoria Rose, which channel you should look at. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I will see you all next week. Oops, where are we going? Oh, I nearly missed this part. How could I do that?